Welcome to another messed up looking. Wow. Welcome to another DragonLance Saga Gaming Advanced Dungeons and Dragons episode. This is the 20th episode in the Advanced Dungeons and Dragons Dungeon Master's Guide series. It is Herein Deep Cult, the 11th. My name is Adam. Dragonlance came out of Advanced Dungeons & Dragons, so I thought it would be fun to read the core rules aloud and discuss them with a live audience. I would like to take a moment and thank the DL Saga YouTube members and Patreon patrons and invite you to consider becoming a member or patron. You can even pick up Dragonlance gaming materials or get $10 by signing up to startplaying.games using my affiliate links in the description below. We left off on Appendix H, Altar. Touching this feature without uttering the name of the deity to which it is dedicated will alternately do the following: age the character 10 years, animate his or her weapons for 4 rounds, and cause them to attack their owner, cf. Sword of Dancing, or cause cancellation as the rod to drain his or her most powerful magic item of all its dweomer. If the deity's name is uttered when the altar is touched, then characters of neutral alignment will have a wish granted if it is made within the turn. Characters of other alignment will have a geese laid upon them to go and slay a monster who is inimical to the deity. But upon successful completion of this duty, they too will be granted a wish. Arch. This feature will exist when the party's first enters the place, but thereafter it will appear and disappear on a random basis on a 1 in 20 chance for either. It will alternately do one of the following: change sex, enlarge reduce to giant brownie size, assuming the man size upon entry, or teleport the individual to an area where the gem grows on plants. Those within the arch, when it disappears, are trapped until it reappears again, and exiting does not cause any of its functions to operate. Container. This is a jar which is alternately a polymorphed black pudding, which the touch of a character will dispel to its normal form, or an obsidian vase of the finest workmanship, which is worth 5,000 gold pieces. If a polymorph spell is cast upon the jar form, or a dispel magic is cast upon the vase form, then the vase will become a normal item of great worth. Otherwise, each time it is touched, there are equal chances for either form to exist. Door. Secret. This pivoting stone portal will always swing open to the left, giving egress to an area guarded by a basilisk. However, if a second hidden stud is found, 1% chance, then it will pivot to the right and allow entry to a chamber containing a magical fountain. Fountain. This feature is a beautiful work of onyx and jet black stone. A grinning gargoyle and a lovely nymph are depicted, the former with an open mouth, the latter with a pitcher. As soon as the party enters, the gargoyle will ask a riddle, and if it is not answered, it will spray poison upon the ground, save or dead. If answered, the nymph will then recite a poem, which is a clue to a special treasure. Monster. The shriekers found in the area have a heavy growth of yellow mold upon them, and if they're struck, the spores will spread in their usual poisonous cloud. These creatures totally surround a pedestal. Pedestal. This short, thick cylinder has 6 knobs in the shape of flowers. Atop the pedestal lies a strangely wrought crown, but is untouchable due to a force field. Turning the knobs will 1. Lower one attribute of the character by 1 point. 2. Give a magical shock for 5 to 50 hit points. 3. Turn the character into gaseous form. 4. Deliver a scroll upon which a clue as to how to lower the force field. 5. Turn the character permanently invisible. And 6. Open a trap door in the floor which drops all in the room down a chute to a level far beneath the palace. From these examples, you will note that nearly endless combinations are possible, even without your own ideas for addition. And these will surely come. There can be monsters hidden by illusion, illusional monsters, symbiotic monsters, monsters in combined pairs or trios or whatever, parts of the dungeon which are distorted, invisible, shifting, slanting, spinning, and so on. For some further examples of tricks in the campaign, you may wish to consult Dungeons & Dragons Volume 3, The Underworld and Wilderness Adventures, and Greyhawk, Supplement 1. All right, before we go on to the next eye, let me say a quick, hey, Corey, thanks for tuning in. Injun Joe, thanks for tuning in on Twitch. Let's see. Oh, good. You're still working on some anthology stuff. That's awesome. The Bulette is still the best AD&D monster. All right, cool. Let's go on to the next segment here. And this is going to be Appendix I. All right, Appendix I, Dungeon Dressing. Miscellaneous items and points of semi-interest for corridors and unpopulated areas, or to round out otherwise drab places. We have percentile dice rolls for air currents, which include breezes, cold currents, downdrafts, still updraft wind. We have odors in percentiles of acrid, chlorine, dank, earthly, manure, metallic, ozone, putrid, rotting vegetable, salty, smoky, stale, fetid, sulfurous, and urine. Ugh. Then, of course, we have air, clear, foggy, hazy, misted. Note air and odor information in level keys. If random determination is used, be sure the same logic prevails in the overall scheme. I think that's important to note because if you have like contrasting air or sense in like side-by-side rooms, there's got to be a reason why it's not the same or slightly different if it's absolute opposites. So the more you have, sort of absurdly seemingly contentious qualities to those two rooms, you have to come up with some sort of magical or at least logical reason for it to be there, because the players will be looking for that. They'll try to figure out, well, why is this and that is not, and what is going on? And you're like, oh gosh, I just didn't think about it. There's really no reason, just move on. All right, the next is the general area, which has, again, percentiles, stuff like broken arrows and broken bottles, daggers, dung, dust, guano, leather boot, pot shards, slimy coated wall, fangs or teeth, water trickling, stuff like that. Distribute these items randomly by choice or by die roll, or place them as desired. An interval of 60 feet or more between each placement is suggested. So this is literally just dressing up your dungeons in random ways to help you, the dungeon master, not have to come up with everything yourself. Unexplained sounds and weird noises like a slam or a bang, chimping, chirping, clanging, clashing, clicking, groaning, hissing, howling, humming, music, scratching, shuffling, slithering, sneezing, snapping, sobbing, splashing, all sorts of stuff. Select noises as desired. Locate in 20-foot by 40-foot areas for detection. Have at least 120 feet intervals between each. And then we have furnishing and appointments, general. Stuff like an altar, an armoire, arras, bag, barrel, cask, chandelier, charcoal, large chest, cupboard, cushion, desk, hamper, pillow, rushes, sacks, shrines, sideboard, sofa, statue, etc. Use this list to select furnishings. Random use is suggested only for rounding out the furnishings of an area. And then there's religious articles and furnishing table, including altar, bells, cassocks, chimes, font, gong, idols, frescoes, pews, pipes, prayer rugs, shrines, screen, stand, throne, thurible, tripod, etc. Select from the list above. Use random determination only to round out or fill in. Torture chamber furnishings. Ooh. You've got bastinados, branding irons, brazier, cage, fetters, fire pit, grill, manacles, pliers, racks, ropes, stocks, stool, torches, etc. Use this list to select from. Random selection by dice roll is useful only to fill in. And then we have magic user furnishings. Alembic, brazier, cauldron, decanter, funnel, furnace. I mean, there's more than what I'm naming on all these. I'm just giving you examples of what's in them. Files, pippets, quills, retort, scroll tubes, measuring spoons, stuffed animal, tank, tongs, tripod, etc. And then we have the general description of container contents: ash bark, bone chunks, cinders, crystals, dust fibers, gelatin, globes, grains, greasy husks, leaves, liquid, lump, oily paste, pellets, powder, semi-liquid, skin, hide, splinters, stalks, strands, stripes, vicious. All of these lists for direct selection. Random determination is useful only for adding items and in odd situations. This is all sorts of stuff. Miscellaneous utensils and personal items, awls, candlesticks, choppers, decanters, dippers, hourglass, kettle, knuckles, knuckle bones, oil, fuel, razors, rope, salve, scraper, spigot, spoon, stopper, towel, tray, trivet, vase, vial. And then we have clothing and footwear: aprons, blouse, cloak, coat, coif, girdle, gloves, gown, jerkin, kirtle, linen, mantle, shawl, shift, slippers, smock, etc. Jewelry and items typically bejeweled: anklet, armband, belt, brooch, buckle, chain, chalice, choker, locket, medal, medallion, necklace, pendant. And then we have food and drink tables: ale, apricots, apples, beans, beer, berries, biscuit, eggs, fish, fowl, lentils, mead, meat, milk, pears, peas, pickles, etc. And condiments and seasoning: garlic, herbs, mustard, pepper, salt, and vinegar. In the interest of space, the varieties of these items have been omitted, for they are generally well known and can be enumerated by the DM with little or no difficulty. A listing of herbs and associated vegetable matter is given elsewhere in this book. The listing gives the purported use for herbs and regard to healing, magic, poisons, etc., but it can be used to enumerate herbs used for cooking purposes. Use the lists above for stocking of kitchens, storerooms, etc. Random selection is suggested only to round out an area stocked. All right, and then we have chamber, room, and other space list. This is not a percentile roll. It is just a list of types of chamber, room, and other spaces. So like antechambers, armory, audience, aviary, banquet, barracks, bath, bedroom, boudoir, bestiary, cell, chantry, chapel, cistern, class, closet, conjuring, corridor, court, crypt, dining, divination, dormitory, dressing room, entry, vestibule, gallery, game room, guard room, hall, great hall, hallway, harem, seraglio, kennel, kitchen, laboratory, library, lounge, meditation, observatory, office, pantry, pen, prison, privy, secret, reception, refectory, robing room, salon, shrine, sitting room, smithy, solar, stable, storage, strong room, vault, study, temple, throne room, torture room, training, exercise, trophy room, museum, waiting room, water closet, toilet, well, workroom, and workshop. Who knew there were so many rooms? All right, let's go to the next one. This is Appendix J. Herbs, spices, and medicinal vegetables. This is my favorite appendix of this entire book. There are hundreds of different vegetable flavorings and seasonings which were or are reputed to have medicinal and or magic properties. It is not within the scope of this work to detail all of these herbs and spices, particularly as regards to their description, habitat, and the many uses claimed for most. An alphabetical listing which one or two components on each is presented. The dedicated herbologist will have to pursue his or her research in scholarly texts. So this is set in two different columns, and on the left column it's plant and or special part, and on the right column it's uses and or powers. So I'm just going to give you some examples of this, but this is huge. It goes through 2 pages, and it is so helpful, especially if you're playing a magic user and you're wanting components, or if you're playing a healer and you want some sort of added world depth for the different items you're using to help heal. I mean, this just adds incredible amount of immersion for those 2 types of characters. Whether you're dual class, multi-class, or just single class characters of those sorts, or if you're a dungeon master and you just want to sort of play with these different types of ideas to use as references for, oh, you wanted to try what that thing tasted like? Well, it was a little bit like an acorn. And then you can have the effect be that of an acorn, which is tissue hardening if you're curious. So let's go through some of these. Acacia, gum arabic, tissue repair. Agaric, astringent, purgative. Alder, anti-inflammation, tonic. Almond milk, powder, nutrient, emollient. Angelica, lungs, liver, spleen, vision, hearing. Auroch, goosefoot, sedative, nervous tension or hysteria in particular. Let's go to the second column here. Bale, anti-inflammation, ulcers. Balm of Gilead, nutrient, organ stimulant, general. Barley, nutrient, recuperative. Bay leaf, it has a question mark. You couldn't make something up? Beet, organic cleanser. Belladonna, deadly nightshade, dwale, black cherry root. Diuretic, sedative, pain reliever, anti-opiate, circulation stimulant, poison, lycanthropy cure. Lycanthropy cure. Benzoin, gum benzoin. Expectorate, stimulant, antiseptic, wounds and sores. Birch, white birch, intestines and stomach. Venereal disease, skin conditions. Blackberry, dewberry, astringent, toxic, dysentery. Blue mallow, common mallow, coughs and colds. Burdock, laxatives, tuberculosis, more. Cabbage juice, ulcer and stomach treatment. Cayenne, stimulant. Celery, liver functions, tonic, stimulant. Cinnamon, disinfectant, nausea, preservative. Clover, tonic. Cloves, anesthetic, circulation, germicide, disinfectant. Coriander, tonic. Dandelion, diuretic, purgative, tonic. You know, dandelion was actually used. There's some old recipes to make beer from the Revolutionary days, 1700s, and they didn't use hops to bitter beer. That's what hops are used in beer for. They bitter the beer because beer is just sweet naturally because it's made literally from sugars, from the sugars of like wheat or different types of grains. So anyway, so you have to bitter it so that it's palatable. Otherwise, it's just overly sweet and disgusting. They used to use dandelions to do that. Nowadays, of course, we use hops. And hops come in an incredible variety of flavors and scents. And so we can really make hyper-specific types of beer with hops. Whereas dandelions, I think we are kind of limited in the outcomes. But I just thought that was interesting. Anyway, fig, demulcent. Fireweed, astringent, antispasmodic. Garlic, coughs, colds, blood purifier, detoxifier, kills parasites, wards off vampires. Goat's rue. I don't even know what that is. Diuretic, wormer, vermifuge. All right. Hawthorn, heart and arteries. Honeysuckle, liver, spleen, respiratory disorders. Horseradish, tonic, antiseptic, wormer. Irish moss, coughs, scalds, burns. Lotus, question mark. Marigold, fevers, varicosities, eyes, heart. Mistletoe, convulsions, hysteria, narcotic, tonic, typhoid fever, heart. Did you know what hysteria in like the, I think it was like the 20s to the early 50s, doctors would tell women that they were suffering from hysteria. And one of the treatments when women supposedly were being too confrontational or too erratic or whatever, they say, oh, you're suffering from hysteria. We're going to have to solve this. They would manually masturbate the women to cure them of hysteria. Like, no shit. That is historically accurate. Crazy. Anyway, mistletoe can be used for narcotic, tonic, typhoid fever, and heart. Onion as a poultice or colds as chives. Oregano is a germicide painkiller. Paprika is a stimulant poultice. I love paprika so much. Peach seed, fevers, blood tonic. Peppermint. It has a question mark for peppermint. Come on, heartburn. Come on. Pumpkin seed, virility, organ tonic. If you've ever had psychedelic mushrooms, they taste exactly like pumpkin seeds. Not that I know. Radish, blood purifier or liver. Rhubarb, astringent, cathartic. Oh, I got to do raspberry. Raspberry is fevers or tonic. Saffron is scarlet fever, measles, respiratory infections. Sage, tonic or wounds. Sarsaparilla, China root, spikenard, system balance, blood purifier, venereal disease, many more. Wow. Spearmint, again, question mark. Tarragon, question mark. Tea, poison antidote. Speaking of, I got a little bit here to help my throat when I'm reading. Thyme, antiseptic, blood purifier. Turnip, mouth disease, throat. White bryony, mandragora, cathartic, respiratory disease, heart, kidneys. It is suggested that you use the above list as a guide to which herbs, spices, or vegetable you will require for various magical effects desired from poisons, scroll inks, and other magical items. You may add to or delete from this list as you desire. Reputed folk uses are not detailed with respect to magic in most cases, as this decision is the purview of the dungeon master. Awesome. I love this section. You should definitely peruse this at some point because it's just entertaining. We're on our next appendix. Appendix K, describing magical substances. Some dungeon masters have difficulty describing the contents of potion bottles, magical elixirs, and like liquid substances. The list below gives the appearances of liquids, colors, tastes, and smells. In combination with Appendix I, dungeon dressing, or by itself, these various descriptive words will serve the dungeon master in good stead when preparing level keys or when winging it. So the left column is appearance and consistency. The right column is transparency. So bubbling, cloudy, effervescent, fuming, oily, smoky, syrupy, vaporous, viscous, watery. And the transparency is clear, flecked, layered, luminous, opaline, phosphorescent, rainbowed, ribboned, variegated. And then it has a taste and or odor of acidic, bilious, bittersweet, burning, biting, buttery, dusty, earthy, fiery, fishy, greasy, herbal, honeyed, lemony, meaty, metallic, milky, musty, oniony, peppery, perfumy, salty, soothing, sugary, sour, spicy, sweet, tart, vinegary, and watery. And then, of course, colors. Metallic, brassy, bronze, coppery, gold, silver, steely, violet, fuchsia, heliotrope, lake, lavender, lilac, magenta, mauve, plum, puce, purple, white, bone, colorless, ivory, pearl, yellow, amber, buff, citrine, cream, fallow, flaxen, ochre, peach, saffron, straw, gray, dove, dun, neutral, red, carmine, cerise, cherry, cinnabar, coral, crimson, madar, maroon, pink, rosy, ruby, russet, rust, sanguine, scarlet, vermilion, brown, chocolate, ecru, fawn, mahogany, tan, terracotta, green, aquamarine, emerald, olive, blue, azure, cerulean, indigo, sapphire, turquoise, ultramarine, black, ebony, ink, pitchy, sable, sooty, orange, apricot, flame, golden, salmon, tawny. I just love that. It's just like a huge thesaurus. It's so funny. All right, the next part here, we are on Appendix L. We are just burning through these appendices. All right, Appendix L, Conjured Animals. When the conjuring cleric or illusionist states the number of hit dice of the animals he or she will summon, consult the appropriate section of the table hereafter. Note that the variation includes fractions of hit points, and these must be charged off against the total conjurable by the spellcaster. Where several possibilities exist, a number for random selection has been assigned, for the cleric or illusionist cannot specify what sort of animal he or she will summon. That is so important right there. I'm going to say it again. The cleric or illusionist cannot specify what sort of animal he or she will summon. It is up to random roll, not them choosing. And I think that is so important because I will always get a player like, I want to summon this. And all you have to do is say, well, let's find out if that's going to happen or not. And roll. So it's got to, I'm just going to show it to you so we don't have to read through here. It's got the hit dice category, it's got the die score, the animal type, and the hit die cost. So depending on the level of the spell and the level of the caster, you're going to determine which hit die category you're going to then respond to, from 1 all the way to 15 and up. And then from that, you're going to have a random percentile die roll, which will give you results, for example, like baboon, wild dog, flightless bird, jackal, giant rat. Or let's go to a 15 and up, whales only. To a maximum of 36 hit die cost. Whales only. So you just summon a whale, it's just like land bound, just drops right in front of you. Well, that's not helpful at all. If in water, only the appropriate sorts of animals can be called, swimmers and flying ones where applicable. And we've got these wonderful looking little monsters that I cannot for the life of me remember what they're called. All right. We are on our next appendix. Appendix M. Appendix M, Summon Monsters. When a monster summoning spell is cast, consult the table below to ascertain what sort of creature appears. Each table is presented according to the level of the spell. If the summoner is evil, the monster in parentheses may be used. So monster summoning 1 gives you a mains demon, a goblin or dwarf, a hobgoblin or elf, a kobold or halfling, an orc or gnome, or a giant rat. Monster summoning 2 gives you a giant centipede, a lemur devil, gnoll, sturge, giant toad, or troglodyte. Monster summoning 3 gives you a boring beetle, boring as into the earth, not personality. Bugbear, gelatinous cube, ghoul, giant lizard, were-rat, lycanthrope, ochre jelly, ogre, huge spider, large spider, giant tick, giant weasel. How pissed would you be if you summoned a monster and you got a giant tick? Monster summoning 4, carnivorous ape, blink dog, gargoyle, ghast, gray ooze, hellhound, hydra, 5 heads, werewolf, lycanthrope, owl bear, shadow, giant constrictor snake, ice toad, poisonous toad. Monster summoning 5, cockatrice, displacer beast, doppelganger, 7-headed hydra, lacrota, subterranean lizard, wereboar, lycanthrope, minotaur, giant amphizobana snake, giant poisonous snake, giant spitting snake, giant spider. Monster summoning 6, carrion crawler, Arañez devil, 8-headed hydra, jackal were, lamassu, were-tiger, lycanthrope, or were-boar, manticore, ogre, magi, otiug, rakshasa, salamander, phase spider, troll, wight, windwalker, wraith, or wyvern. Monster summoning 7, coatl, chimera, succubus demon, type 1 demon, type 2 demon, type 3 demon, barbed devil, born devil, horned devil, etten, fire giant, frost giant, hill giant, stone giant, gorgon, groaning spirit, 10-headed hydra, pyro, 8 heads hydra, intellect devourer, invisible stalker, lamia, fire lizard, mind flayer, mummy, spirit naga, neo otiug, night hag, Shidu or Roper, Shambling Mound, Giant Slug, Spectre, Hirakosphinx or Androsphinx, Umberhulk, Will-O-Wisp, or a Zorn. Remember that it is always within your purview to not only select what monster is summoned, but to appoint the numbers as well where applicable. Thus, you may select to have rats come to a first level summoning, but because they are relatively weak, you might also allow a maximum number to appear. The major drawback to personal selection is that players might view it as a personal bias on the part of the DM, whether pro or con. It is quite obvious that there are superior and inferior monsters on each list, and as a general rule, it might be better to allow random selection sans interference from the gods. When a monster summoning spell is cast while upon a body of water or underwater, use the following tables to ascertain what sort of creatures appear. Note that there are separate tables for fresh and salt water. Monsters summoning 1, fresh, Colinth, hobgoblin or nixie, salt, Colinth, hobgoblin or merman. Monster summoning 2, fresh, lizardman, salt, Ixit, Exit, Exacchital, oh my gosh, Lokatha. Monster Summoning 3, Fresh, Giant Crab, Lacedon or Ghoul, Salt, Lacedon, Ghoul, or Sahuagin. Monster Summoning 4, Fresh, Beetle, Water Giant, Crayfish Giant, Copoacinth or Gargoyle, Giant Water Spider, or Salt, Copoacinth, Gargoyle, Lobster, Crawfish Giant, or Triton. Monster Summoning 5, Fresh, Giant Crocodile or Water Weird, Salt, Giant Crocodile, Sea Hag, Sea Lion, or Water Weird. Monster Summoning 6, Fresh or Salt, Giant Octopus, Giant Sea Snake. Monster Summoning 7, Fresh, Morkoth or a Water Naga, Salt, Morkoth, Manta Ray, or Giant Squid. We're on our next appendix. This is Appendix N, Inspirational and Educational Reading. Inspiration for all of the fantasy work I have done stems directly from the lore my father showed me when I was a lad, for he spent many hours telling me stories he made up as he went along, tales of cloaked old men who could grant wishes, of magic rings and enchanted swords, or wicked sorcerers and dauntless swordsmen. Then, too, countless hundreds of comic books went down, and long-gone EC ones certainly had their effect. Science fiction, fantasy, and horror movies were a big influence. In fact, all of us tend to get ample helpings of fantasy when we are very young, from fairy tales such as those written by the brothers Grimm and Androu Lang. This often leads to reading books of mythology, paging through bestiaries, and consultation of compilations of the myths of various lands and peoples. Upon such a base, I built my interest in fantasy, being an avid reader of all science fiction and fantasy literature since 1950. The following authors were of particular inspiration to me. In some cases, I cite specific works. In others, I simply recommend all their fantasy writing to you. From such sources, as well as just about any other imaginative writing or screenplay, you will be able to pluck kernels from which grow the fruits of exciting campaigns. Good reading. So, inspirational readings: 3 Hearts and 3 Lions, The High Crusade, The Broken Sword by Poul Anderson, The Face in the Forest by John Bellars, Leigh Brackett, Frederick Brown, Edgar Rice Burroughs, Pellucidar series, Mars series, Venus series, Lynn Carter, World's End series, Sprague de Camp, Lest Darkness Fall, Fallible Fiend et al. Let's see, Pratt and DeCamp, Harold Shaw series, Carnelian Cube, August Derleth, Lord Dunsany, P.J. Farmer, The World of the Tears series et al., Gardner Fox, Kothar series, Kyrick series et al., R.E. Howard, Conan series, Sterling Lanier, Hero's Journey, Fritz Lieber, Fard and Grey Mouser series et al., H.P. Lovecraft, A. Creep Merritt, Shadow Creep, Moonpool, Dwellers in the Mirage et al., Michael Moorcock, Stormbringer, Stealer of Souls, Hawkmoon series, especially the first 3 books, Andre Norton, Andrew J. Offutt, editor, Swords Against Darkness 3, Fletcher Pratt, Blue Star et al., Fred Saberhaugen, Changeling Earth et al., Margaret St. Clair, The Shadow People, Sign of the Labyrinth, J.R.R. Tolkien, The Hobbit, Ring Trilogy, Jack Vance, Eyes of the Overworld, The Dying Earth et al., Stanley Weinbaum, Manly Wade Wellman, Jack Williamson, Roger Zelanzi, Jack of Shadows, Amber series et al. The most immediate influence upon Advanced Dungeons & Dragons were probably DeCamp and Pratt, Ray, Fritz Lieber, Jack Vance, HPL, and A. Merritt, but all of the above authors, as well as many not listed, certainly helped to shape the form of the game. For this reason, and for the hours of reading enjoyment, I heartily recommend the works of these fine authors to you. All right, we are on our next appendix. I would say Margaret Weiss and Tracy Hickman. Appendix O, Encumbrance of Standard Items. Now, I don't know why this encumbrance in gold pieces is not with the equipment itself. Some of the equipment will have references to weight, but this should be in that place. So this must have been added because this is the deluxe version of the Dungeon Master's Guide. It must have been added later. So we have your backpack at 20 gold pieces in weight, bottles at 60, clothes one set at 30. Clothes are 30 gold pieces in weight? Either that's heavy clothes or that's really light gold. Gem, 1 to 5 gold piece weight. Grapnel, 100 gold piece weight. Robe, 50. Jeez. Spike, 10. Staff, 100. Tinderbox, 2. Musical instruments include only large and bulky instruments such as lutes and drums. The maximum weight of a normal strength person can carry and still move is 1,500 gold piece value, or 150 pounds. Certain items are not included when figuring encumbrance. These include material components, unless large and bulky, any helm but great helm, if the character has any armor, 1 set of clothing, thieves' picks, and tools. Many other things will be bought or found, but it is impossible to list them all here. The encumbrance of most items not on this list may be inferred by comparison with objects similar to them. Thus, a decanter of endless water will encumber as much as a bottle or flagon. In some cases, not equivalent may be found on the table. Such instances require the judge to decide. Many people looking at the table will say, "But a scroll doesn't weigh 2 pounds." The encumbrance figure should not be taken as the weight of the object. It is the combined weight and relative bulkiness of the item. Oh. These factors together will ultimately will determine how much a figure can carry. As an example, Dimwall the magic user and Drudge the fighter have prepared for a dungeon expedition. Dimwall, besides his normal clothing, is strapped on a belt with a large pouch on it. Into this he has his robe. He tucks his material components, minimum encumbrance. He also places in his pouch a potion bottle, a mirror, some garlic and belladonna, and his tinderbox. At his right side hangs a dagger and sheath, and 4 more daggers are on a bandolier slung across his chest. Over all these belts, he puts his backpack on his in his pack goes a hand axe for chopping, not fighting, 3 flasks of oil, a candle, 3 small sacks, 1 large sack, and 7 torches. Lashed in a bundle in the backpack is 50 feet of rope. At his left side, hanging from the belt, are a leather scroll case and his purse filled with 20 gold pieces. He holds a staff in his right hand and a torch in his left. He's now ready to travel with a total encumbrance of 689 gold pieces. Meanwhile, his companion Drudge has strapped on his splint armor. He wears 2 belts around his waist. His longsword hangs from one. On the other belt, he places his quiver with 40 bolts, a cocking hook, and a dagger. He slips on his backpack, already loaded with 10 spikes, 1 week's iron rations, and a flask of oil. To the bottom of the pack, he has strapped 50 feet of rope. Hanging on the rear of the pack is a heavy crossbow. Around his neck, he wears a holy symbol. Finally, he straps his large shield onto his left arm, fits his helmet, and takes his lantern, ready to go with a total encumbrance of 1,117 gold pieces. During their adventures, Dimwall and Drudge find 800 gold pieces in a troll's treasure hoard. Dimwall can carry 400 gold pieces in his large sack and another 300 gold pieces in his small sacks. Dimwall leaves his torch and staff since he must have his hands free. Then he fastens a small sack to his belt and, using 2 hands, carries the large sack over his shoulder. Drudge eats parts of his iron rations and throws the rest away, along with his spikes and oil. He places the remaining bags in the bottom of his pack, then pours the loose coins on top of them. Encumbrance for Dimwall is now 889 gold pieces and 1,222 gold pieces for Drudge. As they leave, Dimwall and Drudge meet the troll. There is little time to react, so Drudge must quickly drop his lantern, possibly putting it out, and attack. As he does this, Dimwall must drop a large sack, probably scattering coins about, unsling his pack, and start digging for his oil. By the time he finds it, the troll may have killed them both. That is so realistic. Normally, you have players like, I will take all of the thousands of coins in my sack. And you're like, 1, it won't fit. 2, you can't carry that much. And they're like, blah, blah, blah. So great. All right, next up, my friends, Appendix P, creating a party on the spur of the moment. There are times, often if you attend many conventions, where you'll have a group of players desiring to adventure in your campaign who have no suitable characters with which to do so. You may want only low, medium, or high level characters for the particular scenario you have in mind, and regardless of level, it is certain that you will not wish to have ultra powerful, considering character level, or strange magic items in the group. It therefore becomes necessary to have the party generate special characters on the spot, and this takes up valuable playing time. In order to reduce this to a minimum, the following system, one which I have adapted perforce from DMing many conventions, is suggested. Abilities. Players roll 46, discard the low die, and arrange the score as they like. Race and class. After generating ability stats, each player selects the race and class of his or her character as desired, making adjustments accordingly. Alignment. Make certain that the alignments allowed to participants are not so diverse as to cause a breakdown in the game due to player quarrels. You may require players to select from 2 or 3 compatible alignment types if you think best, such as neutral, neutral good, and lawful neutral, for example. Level. For a low level, you might use random dice to find out if player levels are 1 to 2, 1 to 3, 2 to 4. Medium range might be 5 to 7, 5 to 8, or 7 to 9. Upper range is typically 8 to 10, 8 to 11, or 9 to 12. Multi-class races are best handled by adding 1 level per profession to the level generated, and then divide the total by the number of classes involved, counting all fractions as whole numbers. Standard equipment. Assuming that these are not first level characters, you will probably find it best to allow them to take whatever is desired, reminding them that they can only carry so much, and then quickly checking the character sheets before the start of the adventure. Whatever restrictions you decide to place upon standard items is, of course, your own business. Technologically impossible items and items that you deem unlikely to be used can always be refused to the party. Magic items. If the party is assumed to have been adventuring for some time, however brief, there is the probability that one or more of the number will have acquired certain magic items. In order to reflect this likelihood, use the following tables for the various classes of adventurers as applicable to your group. This is the table. Per level chance for shield, armor, etc., typically +1. And you can see the character class on the left, and going across its shield, plate, banded, chain, leather, ring of protection, and bracers. And then, of course, we have a scroll table as well. And then below, we have a weapons table. And I'll get back to the text here. Multiply level by percentage chance to determine odds, then roll percentile dice, and if the score is equal to or less than the percentage chance, the character has the item. There is a 1% chance per level of experience that any item will be above average, +2 bracers of armor class 5, for example. If the chance for having the item was greater than 90%, add the percentage above 90% to the chance for the item to be above average. If the resulting roll indicates an above average item, then see if it goes up to +3, or bracers of armor class 4, on a straight 1% per level of experience chance. Example, Gonzo, the 9th level ranger, discovers that he has magic chain mail, having opted to take a sure thing with a 135% chance. Gonzo's level 9 plus the percentage chance above 90%, 45%, are added together to find the chance for +2 chain. 9% plus 45% equals 54%. Percentile dice are rolled, and the result is 51. So Gonzo has at least +2 chain. A third check is made, and it is discovered that he has +2 as the dice roll was 99. Chances for +2 or +3 weapons are the same as for protective items. You may alternatively give special features to swords instead of further pluses, i.e., +1 sword, Flame Tongue, or +2 sword, Giant Slayer. Add a crossbow of speed to +2 bolts if a +3 is indicated, otherwise double their number only. All right, then there's a potions table that you can see here, percentage, maximum number of potions, and possible potion types. You may allow characters to to have whatever potions suit them, or you can dice to find them at random. Any character with a score of 100% or more for having a potion must be allowed to select their own, as this reflects the fact that such characters would have supplies of them available to choose from. Miscellaneous items. If the party is generally above 5th level and going into a hazardous area, or if the party is generally above 8th level, then you might determine it's advantageous to award from 1 to 4 miscellaneous items according to the following list. Large groups are less likely to need such items. Higher level characters are more likely to have them despite numbers. Selection can be by you or by the party, as you deem best. You may add or delete items as desired, but remember that those shown are chosen to maintain a low key of power. 1. Feather Falling Ring. 2. Warmth Ring. 3. Water Walking Ring. 4. Wand of Negation. 5. Wand of Wonder. 6. Bag of Holding, 500-pound capacity. 7. Boat Folding, small rowboat. 8. Brooch of Shielding. 9. Cloak and Boots of Elven Kind. 10. Javelin of Lightning, pair. 11. Javelin of Piercing, pair. 12. Necklace of Adaptation. 13. Robe of Useful Items, see below. 14. Robe of Climbing. 15. Trident of Warning. 16. Wings of Flying or Boots of Levitation. Items on a robe of useful items, select 7 to 12. There's a bonfire, cask, caltrops, crowbar, dagger, war dog, door, gem, ladder, lantern, mallet and stakes, meat, money, mule, oak tree, giant owl, pick, pole, rooster, rope, shovel, torch, or wasp nest. When you are thoroughly familiar with the system, you will be able to ready a party of players for an adventure with a minimum amount of time and effort on your part, and do so with relative assurance that they will be about right for the area they will adventure in. All right, I'm at the glossary at this point, and I'm not sure I want to read the... you know what? I might as well. Why not? Why not? Glossary. Ability scores. Numerical ratings ranging from 3 to 18 for a character's strength, intelligence, wisdom, constitution, dexterity, and charisma. AD&D. Advanced Dungeons & Dragons. Alignment. A general description of a character's behavioral and ethical tendencies named by combination of law neutrality or chaos with good neutrality or evil. Armor class. A number representing the relative protection from harm the character will enjoy. This includes types of armor, dexterity bonuses or penalties, magical protections, etc. Artifact, a magical item of tremendous power, fabricated in the distant past. Astral, pertaining to or within the astral plane. See Player's Handbook, page 120, not the same as ethereal. Bolt, 1. Missile from a crossbow. 2. Bar locking a door. 3. Streak of lightning. 4. To flee. Breath weapon, special attack of certain creatures like dragons, chimera, etc., causing any of several different effects. For saving throw purposes, the breath weapon category excludes petrification and polymorph results, which have their own category. Campaign, general term referring to one DM's adventure as a whole rather than individually, an ongoing series of games based on a created milieu. CF, compare. Charm, a magical form of minor mind control. Class refers to an adventurer's profession, fighter, cleric, thief, etc. CP, also CP, copper pieces, a monetary unit worth 1/200th of a gold piece. Damage, the number of hit points or structural points that have been inflicted on the being or structure. Death, this occurs when a creature's hit points reach 0, or optionally -10. Most dead characters can be resurrected, although destruction of body, among other factors, will prevent this. Death magic. Death rays, fingers of death, and other magics which will kill a victim which fail at saving throw. Deities. Any of the godlike beings of myth and legend the DM desires which may be included in the campaign. Demihumans. Refers to anthropomorphic, generally non-hostile toward man, creatures that may be played as characters, elves, dwarves, halflings, etc. DM. Dungeon Master. The referee of Advanced Dungeons & Dragons. Dungeon, a generic term for any castle, location, or ruin that serves as the site of an underground adventure. Dweomer, from Dweomer craft, the art, craft of magic, Dweomer. E.g., for example. Encounter, an unexpected confrontation with a monster, another party, etc. Encumbrance, generally the weight and bulkiness of a particular adventurer's possessions, armor, weapons, equipment, etc. EP, also EP, electrum pieces, a monetary unit of a naturally occurring silver-gold alloy worth 1/2 of a gold piece. Et al. And others. Ethereal, pertaining to or with the ethereal planes. See Player's Handbook, page 120, not the same as astral. Exceptional strength, strength exceeding 18, usually designated as 18/X, where X is the value between 01 and 100 inclusive. Experience, the reward, expression in points, or XP, for slaying monsters, winning treasure, and playing the character role. The more experience a character has, the better his or her fighting ability, saving throws, etc. Feat, where the term feat or the mark is used, e.g. 30 feet or 30 hyphen. The distance referred to is usually actual feet with reference to the character. Inches, also Player's Handbook, page 39. Followers, a loyal group of associates garnered by a character at a certain level. GP, gold pieces, the standard monetary unit. 10 gold pieces equal 1 pound, each gold piece weighing 1.6 of wa ounce, sometimes used as a unit of weight encumbrance. Henchman, a low-level, non-player character whose loyalty is to one member of the party rather than the party itself. Hireling, a non-player character hired to accompany a party on an adventure or employed for some other temporary purpose. Hit dice, the number of dice rolled to determine the creature's hit points. Hit points, the number of points of damage a creature can sustain before death, or optionally, coma, reflecting the creature's physical endurance, fighting experience, skill, or luck. Holy, unholy water. Water which has been specially prepared by a cleric, useful as a weapon against undead or to slow the effects of poison. Humanoid refers to anthropomorphic, generally hostile creatures, orcs, goblins, hobgoblins, kobolds, etc. i.e., that is. Inch. 1 inch equals 10 feet in the indoor dungeon scale. 1 inch equals 10 yards in the outdoor dungeon scale. See Player's Handbook, page 39. Initiative. The means of determining the order of actions of opposing individuals or groups. By means of initiative, the order in which blows are struck in combat or other actions are undertaken is determined. Invisibility. A manner of hiding from normal visual means. This does not make someone soundless or odorless. League. For game purposes, a league equals approximately 3 miles. Level. 1. The relative depth and or degree of difficulty of one floor of a dungeon. 2. The degree of difficulty and power of a spell. 3. The degree of proficiency and experience a character has in his or her profession. 4. A measure of how tough a monster is. Lycanthrope. Any of the shape-changing man-beasts of legend. Werewolves, were-tigers, etc. Magic. Anything which cannot be explained by the science of the milieu. Any weapon or item which has a bonus, +1, +2, etc., is considered a magic item. Magic resistance. The percentage chance of any spell absolutely failing in the monster's presence. It is based on the spell being cast by an 11th level magic user and must be adjusted upwards by 5% for each level the caster is below 11th, or downwards by 5% for each level the caster is above 11th. Thus, a magic resistance of 95% means that a 10th level magic user has no possibility of affecting the monster with the spell, while a 12th level magic user has a 10% chance. Even if the spell does take the effect on a magic-resistant creature, the creature is then entitled to normal saving throws. Melee. Combat with handheld weapons between more than 2 figures. This is distinguished from list combat, which is between 2 opponents, and missile combat, which is at a distance and involves thrown or propelled weapons. Mesodaemon. A monster encountered in AD&D Module D3, Vault of the Drow. Ignore it if the statistics are unavailable to you. Milieu. A unique game setting embodying numerous possible variables in its creation, i.e. the world in which the adventure takes place. Miniature. A small lead or plastic figure which serves as a visual aid in AD&D. Missile. Any weapon which is hurled or propelled towards a target. This includes arrows, spears, catapult, boulders, and sling bullets, as well as anything else flung at a target, flasks of oils, vials of holy water, etc. Monster. For game purposes, any potentially threatening creature encountered, man or beast. Monty Hall. A campaign, or the DM running it, in which greatly excessive amounts of treasure and or experience are given out. MU, magic user. Natural 20, when a 20-sided die is rolled and a 20 appears. This is distinguished from a result of 20, which could be a lower roll augmented by ability and magical bonuses. NB, note well. NPC, non-player character. Nika Daemon, a monster encountered in Advanced Dungeons & Dragons Module D3 Vault of the Drow. Ignore it if its statistics are unavailable to you. Party, a group of adventurers. PC, player character. Persona, the role or identity of the character the player is portraying. Petrification, also petrifaction. The rapid turning to stone of some object or being by magical means such as a basilisk's gaze, etc. Filter, a magical draft or potion. Phylactery, an arm wrapping with a container holding religious writings, thus a form of amulet or charm. Planes, other realms of existence, some of which interconnect with the prime material plane, the normal milieu setting. See Player's Handbook, page 120. Poison refers to both toxic, man-made substances and venom from poisonous creatures. Polearm, a hafted weapon other than a spear or staff with a length of 5 feet or more. Polymorph, the physical alteration by magical means of the shape of a creature. PP, platinum pieces, a monetary unit. Each platinum piece is worth 5 gold pieces. Psionics, mental combat possible only by very intelligent beings and some monsters. Psionics also encompass certain other special mental abilities such as telekinesis. See Player's Handbook, Appendix 1. QED, which was to be demonstrated. QV, which see, something that is also referenced. Random generation, determine at random something from a list of several possibilities, usually by rolling dice. Relic, a magic holy item of great power, usually extremely old. Research, in addition to its normal meaning, the work involved when an MU or alchemist is involved in preparing new spells, enchanting items, etc. Resurrection, the revival of a character after its death by magical means. Round, also melee round, a unit of time in AD&D equal to 1 minute. Each round is composed of 10 segments, and 10 rounds constitute a turn. Saving throw, a die roll which is used in adverse circumstances to determine the efficacy of a spell, whether a character fell into a pit or not, whether a character escaped a dragon's breath, etc. Scrying, viewing a person or thing through mystical means. Segment, the smallest unit of time in AD&D. Each segment is 6 seconds long. 10 segments comprise a round. SP, silver pieces, a monetary unit. 20 silver pieces equal 1 gold piece. Structural points, the amount of damage a structure can sustain before it gives way. Surprise, both parties in an encounter must check to see if either or both are surprised, which may result in the loss of initiative. To hit, that number which must be matched or beaten by a 20-sided die in order to inflict damage on an opponent. Trap, any of several mechanical or magical devices which may be triggered by adventurers, usually causing damage to one or more of them. Examples are pits, pits with spikes, poison needle traps, or treasure chests, etc. Treasure, a general term meaning anything of value which may be acquired by adventuring. Trick, any device or machination which is more likely to be solved by wits rather than force. Tricks do not necessarily involve physical harm to the characters. Examples are rooms which rotate or descend to confuse mappers, statues which perform random actions, slanting passageways which take the party unknowingly to a deeper level, etc. Turn, a unit of time in AD&D equal to 10 minutes. Each turn consists of 10 rounds, and each round is comprised of 10 segments. Turning undead, a process by which a cleric attempts to use his or her holy power to turn, force to retreat, influence, destroy, or damn encountered creatures of the undead class. Undead, a class of malevolent, soulless monsters who are neither truly dead nor alive, including skeletons, vampires, ghosts, zombies, ghouls, et al. Vis-a-vis, face-to-face, compared with. Viz, that is, namely. Wandering monster, general term for any encounter not previously keyed by the DM, usually refers to the periodic check for monsters in dungeons. XP, experience points. Oh, I didn't update this. That was the glossary, by the way. We are now at the afterword. It is the spirit of the game, not the letter of the rules, which is important. Never hold to the letter written, nor allow some barracks room lawyer to force quotations from the rulebook upon you. If it goes against the obvious intent of the game, as you hew the line with respect to conformity to major systems and uniformity of play in general, also be certain the game is mastered by you and not by your players. Within the broad parameters given in the Advanced Dungeons & Dragons volumes, you are the creator and final arbiter by ordering things as they should be. The game as a whole first, your campaign next, and your participants thereafter. You will be playing Advanced Dungeons & Dragons as it was meant to be. May you find as much pleasure in doing so as the rest of us do. And of course, we have to show that final beautiful image of the succubus demon. And then we have an index. This is a combined index for both the Dungeon Master's Guide and the Advanced Dungeons & Dragons Player's Handbook, included to provide a handy reference to those areas most often consulted by the AD&D DM and player. It is not designed to be a totally exhaustive listing. DMG page numbers are always listed first and in boldface. Page numbers for the listings in the Player's Handbook are in regular type and follow those boldface where simultaneous listings occur. So I might as well just show you these as well, because why not? I can't believe we went through so much. This was a very long reading, much longer than I ever anticipated it to be. But it was a lot of fun. I really, truly enjoyed going through this with you guys and gals. The legend lives on. In 1974, the world changed forever when Gary Gygax introduced the Dungeons & Dragons role-playing game. The legacy of his innovative ideas and the extensive reach of his powerful influence can be seen virtually every facet of gaming today. To help honor his work and memory, we created limited edition premium-covered reprints of the original first edition core books, the Monster's Manual, Player's Handbook, and Dungeon Master's Guide. Your purchase of this monumental book helps support the Gary Gygax Memorial Fund, established to immortalize the father of role-playing games with a memorial statue in Lake Geneva, Wisconsin. And that's it. And then, of course, it has a bunch of non-playing character tables at the very end, facts tables, non-player character encounter offering adjustments, height and weight tables, random language tables, encounter reaction tables, encumbrance of standard items, standard hirelings table of daily and monthly costs, expert hirelings, morale, typical loyalty, the end. All right, my friends, that was it of this reading of Advanced Dungeons & Dragons and the entire series as a whole. What did you think of the list of herbs, spices, and medicinal vegetables? Do you have a favorite appendix? What did you think of this reading overall? Feel free to email me at info@dlsaga.com or leave a comment below. I would like to take a moment and remind you to subscribe to this YouTube channel, ring the bell to get notified about upcoming videos, and click the like button. It all goes to help other Dragonlance fans learn about this channel and its content. Thank you to creator patron Aaron Hardy, developer patrons Chris Androu and Sam Ruiz, and all of the YouTube members. This channel is all about celebrating the wonderful world of the Dragonlance Saga, and I hope you'll join in that celebration. Thank you for watching. This has been Adam with Dragonlance Saga, and until next time, Slan Javar.